pride and glory is about the planes we fly and the ones we own. Meanwhile, the world we are contending with are developing technologies that they don't need planes, and it's not a testimony. If witches were the ones to have a meeting here, nobody will come here with a car. You won't find one car outside. Everybody will show up. It's not a testimony. The leader of the witch will appear and begin to address them. And it's not new, it's normal. The witch that is initiated today knows how to fly. How come we are a generation that is quoting what Elijah did and we have lost the heritage? In my mother's village, the witches that are in their clan, there is something they give them to swallow. No matter what happens to them, they can't die. When they are tired of living, they vomit that thing and hand over to the person they love to swallow it. If they are to have an accident, the moment the car collides with another car, you'll find them walking from the other side. They were in the car that had the accident, but the moment that collision takes place, the moment their heart leaps, they follow that movement. If their heart leaps, they move. And then you find them walking and coming to where the accident took place. You will not know that they were in that car because they swallowed up something. And we have a generation of believers that our glory is that we have a black Jeep. Our glory is that we have 2 cars. We don't know the things we have lost. The things we have lost are eternal. The world should look at us and wonder. In fact, when Paul was writing in Ephesians 3:10, he didn't talk about men. He said the principalities and powers, they should look at the church and see the manifold wisdom of God. That means when men are sick and they come into the fellowship, when we are done praying, sickness should vanish. And so the people of the world, they should gather in our meetings just because they know if we come here, we will go back healed. How come church have become only a religious gathering? We are not contending for the glory. We don't believe in nothing. We just come to excite ourselves, and when we are done exciting ourselves, we move out. Something is lost. Something is at stake. The disciples Jesus raised, he said they entered different cities, and when they returned, they didn't return with honorarium. They said the demons were subject to us. The demons, they saw spirits left people. They saw spirits that were tormenting people go out of people. They came back to Jesus and they said the demons were subject to us. Do we have Christians today that demons are subject to? Even the spirits don't care. You say you are an apostle, you are talking, they slap you. You say you are a prophet, you are talking. I watched one the other day on YouTube. He said, in the name of the God that my father represents, get up. The girl laughed and said, go where? I'm not going anywhere. There is nothing you can do about it. Now, this is a church with a large congregation, but no authority in the demonic realm. Am I saying there is anything wrong with civilization? No. But what I'm saying is that it's not civilization that determines the pace that we move forward. A disease comes, and if the scientists don't get a cure, we are finished. A disease comes, if the scientists don't get a healing, we are finished. He says, is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no balm in Gilead? The balm is not in the hospital. The balm is in Gilead. Is there no balm in Gilead? How come all of us are waiting for the cure to COVID? Why have we not developed a wisdom from the church and say, if anybody is sick, just take him to church? Why is the world not lining up to come and receive something from the church and be healed? And we gather together, we glory in light, we glory in LEDs, we glory in microphones, whereas what is lost have not been recovered. We are not looking at the supernatural. We are looking at the natural. We are defining our value system by the natural. But Paul said, why we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things that are unseen. That is what bets the glory in the life of man. Jesus said, if thou wouldest believe, he said, thou shouldest see the glory of God. And when he said that in John 11 verse 40, he went to verse 43 and said, Lazarus. They said, no, he has been buried for 4 days. Now his body has decayed. Yes, medical science cannot deal with decayed body, but not the glory realm. This is why I showed up. He said, Lazarus, comfort. And the Bible said, him that was dead came back to life. If the church must rise again to her original place, then the church must go back to excavate the heritages that have been lost. If we are fighting with the sons of the bondwomen and the people of the world to travel in business class, then we are not yet ready to lead them. If we are fighting with them about the best hospitals to go to, then we are not yet ready. If we are fighting with them about the best jobs in town, then we are not yet ready. While we are doing that, we must learn to take over the things that are lost. And I will show you briefly as I go forward. There is nothing wrong in living as a man, but there is something wrong when you only live as a man. You are a hybrid creature. You are both a man and a God. So when men eat, eat. When men rest, rest. But beyond what men do, also make sure that your supernatural dimension is as active as your human dimension is active. If only your human dimension is active, then you are not yet ready to bring liberty and deliverance to the world. I came here on a plane, but I know I will not only travel by plane. And so while I climbed the plane to come here, I am burdened about Philip. When I mount the plane and the plane is in the air, I am burdened about Philip. In fact, while you're on air, if the pilot venture says there is problem with the engine, you will die before the plane comes down. But not a Philip generation. A Philip generation knows what to do. When men fail, they convert into the God element. The reason is because they have looked at the glory. They have focused on the glory. They have paid attention to the glory. They have contended for the glory. And because their focus is the glory, they know how to switch from humanity to divinity. They know how to switch from mortality to immortality. They know how to switch from the natural to the supernatural. How many of us here in this large congregation can willingly switch from the natural to the supernatural? How many of us here can willingly switch from the humanity to the divinity? If we cannot, then we need conferences like this again and again. Because until the glory comes, we are naked. How do you activate the glory? Number 2, if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God. What do you believe? Do you only believe in paracetamol? Then you will never see the glory. Is there anything wrong with drugs? No, take it. But if that is all you believe, you will never see the glory. What do you believe? Do you only believe in cars and aeroplanes? You will never see the glory. What do you believe? Do you only believe in human connection, or you also believe in angelic partnership? Come on. If you only believe in human connection, you will never see the glory. What do you believe? Do you only believe in natural sustenance? You will never see the glory. I read of a man. A story was written by Sadhu Sundar Savaraj, Maharishi of Mount Kailash. He said this man had been living for 400 years. He's in a mountain in India called Kailash. The man said most of the revivals that take place in the world, when the revivals are about to happen, God sends them to go there. And as they are going there, he says some of the spirit of just men made perfect also come for those meetings. It is the presence of those men that changes the energy. It's not just the prayer men are praying. When these men come, they come with another energy level. Because that is how the demonic also prospers. When a sorcerer is doing what he's doing, he's actually inviting demons and spirits to come. Because he knows that what makes the difference is the appearing of those spirits. They look at the world beyond this world. How come we have been locked into this world? Morning till night, we look at Facebook. We look at YouTube. Morning till night, we look at the television. We are the men who are saying we will not only look at the aeroplane anymore. We want to look at what Philip knew that made him travel. We are the men who are saying if Moses was 120 years old and his strength was not depleted, we are looking at how we can supernaturally grow without sickness and yet be strong. These are the men that can see the glory. You don't see the glory because it's taught you. You see the glory because you focus on it. Because as you see it, the Bible said you are changed from glory to glory as by the Spirit of the living God. The Spirit cannot walk the glory in your life except as you begin to focus on it. And so some people will live here today and they will be burdened. I read the story of John Alexander Dowie. He saw doctors struggling with sick people, and he will go to the back, and these doctors come out and act as if all is well. And when they go to the back, they lament and pour out their frustration. And he saw how vulnerable man is. These doctors that compose themselves are actually confused. And from that day, even though he thanked God for medicine, he was pursuing something that was superior to medicine. And suddenly, the hidden finger was given to him. You will never see the glory if you are comfortable with the natural. You will never see the glory if you are okay with the natural. If every time you have headache and paracetamol does it for you, then that is where you will reach. If every time you travel in a car, you are okay with it, that is the highest you will ever go. A generation need to rise and say, thank God for technology. Thank God for medical science. But there is more. We had fathers that survived. He said when the children of Israel left Egypt, he said the Shekinah followed them. And he said there was none feeble among their tribe. Why were they healthy for 40 years in the wilderness? Not in air condition. Why were they healthy for 40 years and 40 nights? 40 years in the wilderness. Why were they strong? The Bible said their shoes grew with them. Their clothes grew with them. And it was not a miracle. It was a normal thing. How can a man wear one sandal for 40 years? And so the next time you need a shoe, he's not just looking for money to buy the next Italian shoe. The time has come for people to carry their shoe and say, this shoe is old, become new. When we preach true Christianity, it will look fake. But that was what the fathers handed to us. I read the story of a woman of God. Her children's shoe, they had outgrown it. And there was no money to buy a new shoe. And she carried the shoe and said, shoe grow. And shoe grew. I read of a man who was traveling for mission and fuel finished. And the water he had to drink, he poured it into the tank. And said, water become fuel. And he traveled to where he was going to. It's okay to be a man, but it is wrong to be only a man. There is something on your inside, but that thing will remain dormant if only what you see is what the natural presents to you. The things you see are designed to make you continually be human. But the things that are unseen, they are designed to make you become a God. And so when a man begins to pursue the glory, he doesn't just believe. Every belief system must be backed up with an action. Because when Jesus said it, he called Lazarus forth. He said, thou believest that there's only one God. Thou doest well. He said, the devil also believes and trembles. He said, oh vain man, faith without works is dead. So if it is true that you believe, the first thing you will begin to do is that you begin to groan in the spirit for the glory. The groaning is the proof that you believe in the supernatural. The groaning is the proof that you believe in life beyond the natural. See, when you're on a plane, don't sleep and say this flight is cool. When you're on a plane, be speaking in tongues. Be groaning in the spirit that I will not only be limited to travel by planes. Thank God for this plane, but there's another means of transportation. That is my true inheritance. When you are sick and you are having to take a drug, don't just take drug and come to church and say, thank God I was sick, now I'm healed. You should be groaning for a technology that causes your cells to refuse to be sick. Because when you expose your cells to the glory long enough, your cells will refuse to be sick. When cancer comes, your cell will tell cancer, I refuse. When diabetes comes, your cell will tell diabetes, I refuse. When infirmities attack you, your cells will refuse. Because your cells would have understood the language of the glory. So while you are taking that drug now, be angry with the drug. While you are taking that drug now, be angry that you have to take the drug and be groaning. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1 and 2, Paul said, we have a heavenly tabernacle. It says, so therefore we groan night and day that we may be clothed. Why is it so? Because I know that I'm not only a man, I'm also a God. Because this is the mystery of the age. Christ in you, the hope of glory. So I'm permitted to walk with men, but I'm not permitted to be limited to men. So when I do what men do and it doesn't work, I will leave men where they are and I will enter another technology. I'm trying to activate my God element, because if I'm only a man, I'll be a victim. Paul said, "Ye are a new creature." He said, "All things are passed away." He said, "Behold, all things have become new." How come we are comfortable being natural men? It's because we have not been told that naturality is not our only opportunities. We have greater opportunities in the spirit. But a generation needs to rise up and become angry and say, we will not only do what the sons of the bondwomen do, but we also do what